On Tuesday's episode of the Locked On Fantasy Hockey Podcast with Flip and Steele, it is the juiciest DFS and big-time betting board that we have seen on this show yet. 14 games await us tonight on Tuesday's board. But before that, we're also making some big-time bold predictions as the season winds down. So let's get into it.
You're Locked On Fantasy Hockey, your daily podcast on fantasy hockey. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
It's that time again, hockey heads and degenerate gamblers alike. Stand up and unite. This is your show. It is the Locked On Fantasy Hockey Podcast with Big Flip Livingstone and Steele Roden, the Puckline King, the DFS guru. We are back in a big, big way for tonight's episode, which features a 14-game big-time betting and DFS target board. I have a bunch of picks ready to go. I know Steele's fired up for this one. Stay tuned for those picks and those targets. Those are coming up just around the break. But to kick off today's show, guys, and I want to thank you for making us your first listen every single day. Don't think that I forgot about that. But I do want to say, we're making some bold predictions on today's show, Steele. We're throwing out some numbers. The prognosticators in the NHL world are getting a little kooky at the end of the NHL season. People are throwing up some big numbers, so let's do the same, my friend. We're looking at Roman Josi. We're taking a look at a bold playoff prediction with the Vancouver Canucks as well. And let's start talking about the nastiest player in the NHL right now, Steele, Auston Matthews. He's closing in on the 60-goal mark, but some people are talking, is 70 realistic? Let's dive right into it, my friend. What do you think? Auston Matthews clicking right now. Could he hit 70 goals?
Short answer is no. Not this season. I don't think he can. I think if he's able to play an 82, a full 82 regular season game season, then he can hit 70 goals. But that 2-game suspension he had against the Buffalo Sabres, a couple of missed games, with illness or injuries, whatever it was. He's missed 5 games on the season, I believe.
True.
I think that's really affected this. I don't think he's going to get to 70 goals. I think we should wait till he gets to 60. He could possibly get to 60 tonight against the Buffalo Sabres, but we'll have to see. The way I was looking at it, there's only 10 games remaining for the Toronto Maple Leafs, before the postseason starts. And they've got I don't want to say a hard schedule. They got a mediocre schedule moving forward. They play Washington twice, Tampa Bay, Boston, Florida, the other 3 teams in the Atlantic Division get them making the playoffs as well. They've got a mediocre schedule moving forward. I believe he finishes the season with 65 goals at the end of the season. So 7 goals in the last 10 games, 1 or 2 against the Buffalo Sabres tonight, I'm predicting.
Yeah, this was a topic that was brought up today on TSN, a big channel here in Canada. And it was a serious question asked to Mike Johnson. Like, we're not just throwing this out there because we like talking about the Leafs. He's at plus 500 right now on some sports books to hit that number. You'd think that would be a lot juicier of an odd. I think that just goes to show you the respect that Auston Matthews has garnered. And I'm with you, Steele. I just don't think there's enough time left on the clock, especially given that, let's say, for whatever reason, he even takes a hard slash tonight, right? Like, he's not even they're going to be so careful with Auston Matthews. Pardon me?
Knock on wood.
Sorry. I was like, I thought you were chirping me already. I was just like, let's not get into that just yet. But yeah, you know what I'm saying? Like, they're going to have to be so careful with him. I think there's just too many variables that could get in the way here because what you said, I think, is clear. Tack on another 5 games here in terms of ending the season, and I think the sky is the limit for Auston Matthews the way he's playing right now.
Yeah.
And at 12 goals to hit the 70-goal mark in 10 games, hey, crazier things have happened, and if anyone can do it, it's him. But I just think even 65 is insane. That's a really, really great season. And I'll leave it with this with Matthews because I do want to talk about these other 2 bold predictions, of course. But I'll say this, man, is this a special season for 34. If he wins the Hart, the Selke, and also the Hart Trophy, Hart, Selke, and Rocket, that's a special, special season, Steele.
I think he's got 2 awards in the bag already. I definitely believe he's got the Rocket Richard and the Hart Trophy. No questions for that. I think it's going to be very, very close for the Selke conversation as well. I know Patrice Bergeron is most likely the favorite right now. But I think Auston Matthews' name has to be tossed in there as well. But it is a serious question. It's not just like you're throwing it out there and it's an immediate no. Yes, it is possible for the guy to get 70 goals. But again, with 10 games remaining, the schedule they have, I don't think it is. I think what is more doable is Roman Josi to 100 points.
Hey, these are two, like, we've talked a little bit about both of these players and both of these situations, but because you have to. This is a historic season for Roman Josi. My goodness. He is only the third D-man in the past 35 seasons to have 11 multi-point games or more in 1 year. The other two guys, not bad. Hall of Famers, Paul Coffey and Phil Housley in 30 seasons, Steele.
Yeah.
This is one of those seasons that is going to be in the record books as one of the best by a D-man. And I think what's most impressive is, and you really pointed it out the other day, 2 months ago, we're having this conversation about the Norris. It's not even close. It's Cale Makar. And now fast forward 6-7 weeks, Roman Josi has really torn the page off the book offensively. And oh my goodness, he even set the single season record for points in Nashville, breaking Paul Kariya's 85-point record from 2006. Is all kinds of impressive, my friend. And with 10 games left, given his tendency for multiple point games, who knows? Who knows? He has 4 assists. That 100-point mark might happen.
This has been a crazy season for, record-breaking players just, dominating the season. Auston Matthews, Alex Ovechkin climbing up the board as well for, the amount of goals that he has throughout his career. Look over at the Minnesota Wild. I talked about them the other day. Matt Zuccarello and Kirill Kaprizov breaking records as well throughout the organization. So I think Roman Josi reaching 100 points this season is quite possible. 87 so far on the season. And, just looking at the last 12 games, it seems like this guy either goes out and gets 0 points in a game or gets 3 points in a game, just looking at the last 12.
Yeah.
So it's very, very possible for Roman Josi to finish this season at 100 points. They do have a little bit of a tough schedule moving forward. They played the Edmonton Oilers, the St. Louis Blues, Calgary twice, Tampa Bay, Minnesota, Colorado. A very tough schedule. They still might miss the playoffs looking at, a couple of the other teams. But with the schedule, the way Roman Josi's played in his last 12 games, very, very possible for him to go out, get 3 assists, a goal and an assist, whatever it may be, and finish the season at 100 points.
The real shot that keeps this thing alive is how good that top power play unit has been in Nashville, with Matt Duchene, Philip Forsberg, Ryan Johansson anchoring the top, and Josi on the blue line. This team scores a lot of goals on the power play, and he racks up a lot of power play points. A lot of those assists come from feeding those guys down in front of the net. And 7 of those 10 games are at home, Steele, and I think you really hit it out of the park. Avs, Blues, Wild, Flames twice. That's not going to be easy. Those are the top tier teams in the West. So if he gets it done against those teams over the last 10 games, I think you need to start really talking about this season even more so. Let's talk about the Vancouver Canucks in just 1 second, Steele, because that is my final bold prediction. But what I want to talk about first, it's Shady Rays. Shady Rays, man. I'm loving this name. It's an independent sunglasses company. It gives you and features $200 sunglasses for a fraction of the price. That means polarized lenses, well-constructed durable frames, and premium high-end finishes for a fraction of the price. Shady Rays' insane production program includes lost and broken protection on every single pair. They will send you a brand new pair if you lose them, no matter what happened. I know for me, that's a good thing. Weekend wobbly pops, glasses can go down. Give these guys a try. If you don't like them, you will pay nothing. It's as simple as that. Plus, 10 meals are donated to fight hunger in America every time you shop with Shady Rays. Exclusive just for our listeners, Steele. Head to shadyrays.com and use the Locked On promo code to get 50% off 2 or more pairs of polarized sunglasses. I'll say it one more time. That's code Locked On for the best deal of the season. 50% off 2 or more pairs of Shady Rays sunglasses, backed by over 150,000 verified 5-star reviews. I also want to tell you guys about BetOnline.net, your number one source for all the sports betting stats and sports info. Find all the latest sports developments, league reviews, and news, including this year's basketball playoffs and the start of the MLB season. BetOnline is your continued source for all your sports wagering information, from live betting to playoffs, esports, and more. Head to the website today and use your mobile device to learn more about the trends and all the action. BetOnline, where the game starts.
Thank you for making the Locked On Fantasy Hockey Podcast your first listen every day. For your next listen, go check out the Locked On Now podcast, nightly recaps of every NHL game with analysis from our local experts. You don't want to miss out on all the highlights. I know I don't. It's free and available wherever you get your podcasts, just like this podcast right here. So hit the subscribe, hit the follow button. Once you do, you will get the latest episodes of the Locked On Fantasy Hockey Podcast every single day, Monday to Friday. Flip. That was a mouthful right there. Let's jump back into the bold takes, the bold predictions moving forward. We were just talking about the Nashville Predators. They have a tough schedule moving forward.
Yep.
We still don't know what's going to happen with those 5 teams fighting for a wild card spot. One of those teams fighting for the spot are the Vancouver Canucks.
Yes.
I want to hear your take on this first because, I know where I'm going with this. I want to hear what you have to say about the Vancouver Canucks this season.
Look, 6 points back. That's where the conversation really begins and probably ends. That is a realistic that's a realistic deficit to come back from for a team that I think has probably disappointed for most of this season, given the talent up front, given the great seasons from guys like JT Miller, and now in the second half, Bo Horvat, who I'm going to talk about around the corner. Stay tuned for big time bets. I think if this team even gets off to, let's say the first month isn't a disappointment, they play better after 2 weeks, they're already in there. So I think this is a really tough spot for Vancouver Canucks fans who I think know that their team is better than what they've done. But look, at the end of the day, Steele, their 9-game schedule to wrap the season, 6 at home, and a final week that features games against the Kraken, Oilers, and Kings. Those are 3 very winnable games, in my opinion. I know the Kings and the Oilers are 2 playoff teams, but they've also proven that they're probably 2 of the most inconsistent of those teams. So I think that of the 3 bold predictions, I know they are 6 points back and they have to climb Dallas and Vegas. Big game tonight against Vegas. If they win tonight, Steele, I say they make the playoffs. That's where it begins and ends for me. But this, in my opinion, is the least bold of the 3 predictions. I could see this one happening over the other 2, but that doesn't mean it's going to be easy.
I don't think they make the playoffs whatsoever. Absolutely not. It's not happening. I think, you said it at the very beginning. If things were different back in November and October, we could be in a different conversation right now. Bruce Boudreau has done a fantastic job bringing this team back to life and giving themselves a shot at making the postseason. He's done an absolute fantastic job giving them a shot. I still don't think they're going to make it, but he's given them a shot the way he's coached this team. Their bottom 6 forwards absolutely suck. Their defense are not good enough. And besides Bo Horvat, JT Miller, Quinn Hughes, and Thatcher Demko, there's no one else on that team that has impressed me this season. Elias Pettersson has not impressed me whatsoever this entire. I thought he'd be a lot better for the Vancouver Canucks. You also mentioned it. The LA Kings, they do face the Vancouver Canucks, towards the end of the season. The Kings have lost 3 games in a row, but they have a very, very, very easy schedule for the last 9 regular season games of this season. So they have fallen back just a little bit. Vegas, Vancouver, those wildcard teams are on their tails, but they have a very easy schedule moving forward. If any of the teams are going to make it, I think it's the Vegas Golden Knights, and I don't even think they're going to make it. I already said this last week. Vegas is not making the playoffs. I don't think Vancouver makes it either. I think the way the standings are right now, I think that's how they finish.
Well, that's why we're calling it bold predictions, Steele, and not what it currently is predictions. But I hear you. And you know what? At the end of the day, Canucks, up until, maybe a couple of weeks ago, you would say for sure they're not going to make it. But the thing that leaves it open for me is the Dallas Stars are not, I know they're 6-3-1 over their last 10 games. They just also don't do it for me. So those players that you named, I think are already have more talent than what the Dallas Stars have in their makeup. That's another good conversation to have, though, because those 2 teams are very similar. But look, they win tonight against Vegas, and they close that gap to 4 points down on Dallas. this is going to be an interesting last 8 games. But you're right. Probably they miss, but it's bold predictions, baby. And I say that they turn the page in a hurry here down the stretch, starting with a big game in Vegas. But 14-game betting and DFS board, Steele.
Yes, sir.
Lots to get
yes,
to.
Sir.
Let's keep it neat and tidy. I want to hear what you have for DFS. I've got a bunch of picks for big-time bets coming up around the break, so stay tuned for that. But hit me with where you're going on the DFS board tonight, my friend.
There's only 2 games that stick out to me. I know there's 14 games on the schedule, a lot of players to choose from, but there's only 2 games in my mind that I really targeted on.
I like.
And I go back to these teams all the time because they work for me. Toronto Maple Leafs versus the Buffalo Sabres and the Florida Panthers versus the Anaheim Ducks. The Anaheim Ducks have been absolutely garbage for the last month and a half, ever since they had that 9-game road trip or whenever it was.
Bad.
Anyway, Florida Panthers against the Anaheim Ducks. I went with that second line last time, and they absolutely exploded for me. Jonathan Huberdeau, Claude Giroux, and Sam Bennett on that second line for me. And then I'm also targeting that first line, Auston Matthews, Mitch Marner, and Michael Bunting. Whatever line you want to go with, you have to choose one of the 2 because those are the most advantageous matchups for Tuesday night, for Tuesday night's games. And those guys have been absolutely stellar for their organization. So besides those two lines, in those advantageous matchups, I'm not really looking at anyone else right now.
I really like this deal because one of the things that I think I've mentioned to you before, when there's this many games, I think the average bettor, the average person out there playing daily fantasy, and I know it used to happen to me, you almost feel overwhelmed. And I think you're doing a great job of focusing in. There's only so many picks that you can make here, right? Less is usually more when it comes to betting. You don't want to be throwing things all over the board. That happened to me and the Masters on Sunday. Thanks a lot, Scotty Scheffler. See ya. Anyway, I like what you're talking about because it also augments where I'm looking very nicely. You know what I've been doing with my DFS targets? I'm looking for the goalies first that I'm trying to start with. And I don't know about you, Steele, but this Carolina-New York Rangers game is a juicy, juicy game in my opinion. And you know what I'm going to say? Maybe a low-scoring, playoff-type atmosphere. 2 great goalies in Shesterkin. And honestly, if it's Antti Ranta in net for Freddie, which I don't think it will be, I'd be comfortable with him as well because he's been pretty solid. Freddie Anderson and Shesterkin in this New York-Carolina game, I don't think you can go wrong with either group. And if you haven't blown your budget on those 2 amazing lines that you've mentioned, I think you know where I'm going to go. Give me some Ottawa Senators action against the Detroit Red Wings because Josh Norris clicking, Brady Tkachuk 3 points the other night, Tim Stützle chipping in with assists every other night. Drake Batherson is back, but you can tell he's behind a step or 2. Norris, nasty. Tkachuk, nasty. Stützle, nasty. And you might not pay as much. So if you want to supplement in for a little bit lower price, I don't think you can go wrong against the Detroit Red Wings. Steele, come on. The book is out on those guys. They can't stop a beach ball.
Hey, I like your goalie options right there. I don't think you can go wrong with Igor Shesterkin or Frederik Andersen as well. I like the fact that you mentioned that Ottawa and Detroit Red Wings game because those are the type of guys you're going to be able to fill up the rest, the remaining spots for your DFS selections. The other game I was actually looking at for cheap options that you can just round out your team is the Calgary Flames versus the Seattle Kraken.
Of course. Andrew
Mangiapane, Michael Backlund, Ryan Donato, Vince Dunn on the blue line, Yanni Gord. Those guys are going to be all very, very cheap. Andrew Mangiapane might be the most expensive out of all of them. But again, I think he's up to the second line as of right now, but he's mostly on the third line. All 5 of those 6 guys that I just mentioned, they're going to be cheap options to, just fill out and round out your entire DFS selections right now. So that Calgary Flames game, Calgary Flames versus the Seattle Kraken for Tuesday night is also the game I'm looking at for some cheap option for DFS.
And I'll leave it at this for DFS because this guy has been the hottest blue liner aside from Josi over the past week. John Carlson is having himself a week. He was named the 2nd star of the week, the NHL, right behind, guess who, number 34, who was the number 1 star. John Carlson, 2 goals and 6 assists in his last 3 games. That's a lot of points from Carlson. And they're going up against the Philadelphia Flyers. If you have any budget left, John Carlson should be making your blue line slot, but he is going to be up there in price. So if you can, maybe augment that with some of the top line guys. Steele said, I love me saying augment, so let's get it.
Yeah, Carlson, an absolute stud for the Washington Capitals for many, many years as well. But there's so many games Tuesday night that I don't think you can have a bad DFS team. But those top guys that both Flip and I have, kind of highlighted, definitely got to go with the Florida Panthers, Toronto Maple Leafs, look towards the Ottawa Senators as well, as those young guys are absolutely rolling. And I know Flip's very, he's on the edge of his seats, release his big time bet selections. We're going to get there very, very soon. But I need to let everyone know about Rock Auto. With the increasing numbers of makes and models, it's now almost impossible for local chain auto parts stores to have what you need in stock. There's so many intimidating and often pointless questions. I know I'm not a car guy. I get very, very confused very, very easily when it comes to cars. And, the local chain auto parts stores just don't do it for me. You have devices with access to rockauto.com at home and in your pocket. This way, you'll be able to save time and money when using Rock Auto. And why would you choose to spend 30, 50, even 100% more for the same parts from a chain store or a car dealership when you can save money from rockauto.com? For example, a Honda Odyssey fuel pump is around $350 from a local chain store when it's $215 from Rock Auto. Go to rockauto.com right now and see all the parts available for your car or truck. Write Locked On in their How Did You Hear About Us box so they know that we sent you there. Amazing selections, reliable low prices, all the parts your car will ever need from rockauto.com. Thank you for making the Locked On Fantasy Hockey Podcast your first listen every day. Don't forget, we are free and available on all podcast platforms, which also includes YouTube. So make sure you hit the subscribe, hit the follow button. And once you do, you'll get the latest episodes of the Locked On Fantasy Hockey Podcast. And like always, Flip and I appreciate all the love and support out there. So thank you so much for tuning in and riding with us on the Locked On Fantasy Hockey Podcast. Flip, 14 games Tuesday night. Big time bets where the money's made. Big time bets. You know me. Everyone knows me at this point. I always correlate my big time bets to my DFS selection. So I think at this point in time, everyone knows where I'm leaning towards for my big time bets. Sure. So I'll throw it over to you. What is your first bet of the night?
Look, I have done a lot of research today. Too much. I say it a lot. It's a fact. There are a couple of games here that I will be betting on as well. I'll share those out on Twitter, but I'll share my top 3 picks. Let's keep it concise. Let's keep the blinders on. Let's make this money. Playoffs are coming up. It's going to be an expensive season. So with that said, I am going right to this Vegas Golden Knights Vancouver Canucks game, Steele. You know what I'm going to say. They played amazing against the Knights the other night. 5-1. It wasn't even close. I do want to give a little bit of credit to the Golden Knights, who have played a lot better over the past week and change. Yeah. But I'm with you as well. Too many injuries to overcome. Too many injuries to key pieces, literally at every single position. Starting goalie, number 1 center, captain, top left winger, top D-man. It literally, you name it, the Golden Knights.
The list just goes on.
Pardon me?
The list just goes on.
It goes on and on. And you know what? I'll leave it at this. The Canucks have played so much better in the second half, and a big reason has been Bo Horvat. He is at the 30-goal mark, and this team goes with their captain. He is the heart and soul in that lineup, along with a couple of other guys, of course, but he's carrying them right now, Steele. And I'm going to the double dip with this bad boy. Give me the Vancouver Canucks on the money line for a juicy plus 115 odd. Vegas is getting the favorite money here, and that's okay by me. Bo Horvat has 30 goals and 20 assists this season. He's been great over the last number of games. You know I like to combo these options. I'm keeping things real simple, Steele. Those are my first 2 picks. This is a big, big game for both teams, and I expect to see the best out of the Vancouver Canucks, and that means a big night from Bo Horvat.
That's a bold pick right there. If I was going to
bold predictions.
Bold predictions. If I was going to choose anyone, it'd probably be the Vegas Golden Knights, but you're right. The
Side
Vancouver
bet?
Canucks side bet.
I still owe you 20. I just remembered.
You do still. I didn't want to bring it up, but
bring it up live on air. That's the best way to hold me to it.
Yeah, you owe me $20 still from that Red Wings game a couple of weeks ago, but didn't want to bring it up. Didn't want to throw you under the bus there, but yeah, okay. You owe me $20.
I can take it.
But yeah, another side bet. I'll take the Vegas Golden Knights here.
Okay.
That is a very advantageous game because both those teams need the points right now.
Should be fun.
And I guess I'll just start off with my I'm just going to name all three of my picks because, they're very easy.
Let's get it.
The Panthers on the puck line. The puck line king needs to bounce back in a big way.
He's back.
I have struggled the last 2 weeks. There's no question about that. The locks of the nights, the picks have not been hitting right now. I need Flips. I need Flips advice and Flips, veteran experience right now. But I'm sticking with the puck line here for the Panthers, the top scoring team in the NHL against one of the worst teams over the last month and a half, the Anaheim Ducks. Panthers on the puck line for my first pick. Auston Matthews. I said it at the beginning of the video. He's going to pot 1 or 2 against the Buffalo Sabres. Okay. Auston Matthews, anytime goal against the Buffalo Sabres. Okay. You heard it here.
Let's go.
Probably for the 100th time, but he's going to hit, he's going to hit the 59, maybe even the 60 goal against the Buffalo Sabres. That's my second pick of the night. Then I'm staying very focused, very clean for this lock of the night. The Maple Leafs on the money line against the Sabres. The last 2 times I've taken the Maple Leafs on the puck line, they got absolutely destroyed. Okay. I'm going to play it safe this one.
Oh, man.
Maple Leafs on the money line. I know they're probably big-time favorites, but they do not play well against the Buffalo Sabres so far this year. So Maple Leafs on the money line is my lock of the night.
Man, I hope for so many reasons Matthews just comes out and has a night and it's not even close because I don't even want to sweat that for you, but it's okay. You're up the 20 on me and probably up another 20 piece for this side bet. I'm kidding. Let's stay focused. Lock of the night. I've been hitting with a bit more success over the last week and change.
Red hot.
I'm keeping this simple as well, Steele. Philadelphia Flyers are complete garbage going into Washington, who are choosing a very opportune time to play their best hockey of the year. Yeah. Wins in 3 straight, but it's not the 3 wins, it's the opponents. Tampa Bay, Pittsburgh, and Boston. Those are 3 very good playoff teams, and Washington is proving with John Carlson, Alexander Ovechkin, these top guys that have been doing for them for the better part of the last decade can still get it done, Steele. If this team can find a little bit of goaltending, you don't want them in the first round of the playoffs. And they can smell the blood in the water. They're closing in on Pittsburgh for that 3rd spot, and that's a big 3rd spot differential, only 4 points back. Give me the Capitals on the puck line, -1.5 at -105. I think that's a very good odd for a team that I expect to lay an absolute smackdown on the Philadelphia Flyers tonight. That's my lock of the night. Give it to me in a big way.
I was just going to mention that too, that the Washington Capitals are, right behind the Pittsburgh Penguins, that 3rd position in the Metropolitan. But I like your lock of the night. Washington Capitals on the puck line against the Philadelphia Flyers. I'm staying easy Tuesday. Leafs on the money line against the Buffalo Sabres. Those are the locks of the night. Pencil it in, lock it in, put your money down. Flip has been absolutely blowing it out of the park the last 3 weeks, for that matter. Take his advice. All 3 of his bets. He's going to put some more out on Twitter as well. So keep an eye out for the rest of his bets coming out on Twitter. He's been absolutely dominating with the big time bet segment. So pencil it in, lock it in, put your money down on those locks of the night. And thank you so much for making the Locked On Fantasy Hockey Podcast your first listen every day. If you want more gambling advice on what you should pick, but for not just hockey, make your second listen Locked On Bets, your daily one-stop shop for all your gambling needs. Locked On Bets, hosted by your boy Q, with insight from Lee Sterling. It's free and available on all podcast platforms, just like this podcast right here. So hit the subscribe, hit the follow button. Once you do, you'll get the latest episodes of the Locked On Fantasy Hockey Podcast as soon as they're available each and every day, Monday to Friday, 7 o'clock in the morning Eastern time. Stay tuned for the episodes. We're coming out with some bold predictions, some hot takes going into the playoffs. You don't want to miss out on all the action.
Yes.
And thank you for tuning in for today's episode with Flip and I. Have a great day. Good luck with all your bets out there, and we shall see you back here again tomorrow.
Peace.